Hello. While I'm out today, you guys should be working on these problems, just the odd ones. Obviously, there's not that many problems, so please try to get these done during class. If you have questions on them, we'll go over them tomorrow when I'm back, but you'll be responsible for number 9, 11, 13, and 15. That's 4 problems. I'm going to work out number 9 right now, and you can kind of see a pattern of how to work these out. The directions on page 774 for number 9, they state, sketch the curve represented by the parametric equation. So that's part A. So part A wants us to sketch this curve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with a kind of a t-chart system. I'm going to have my t value up top, my x value, my y value. And let's see here. You can pick any numbers you want for t, and then you're plugging them into the x equation and into the y equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick some, I don't know, let's go with -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Some convenient numbers that work out for this situation. So with this, I'm going to see what would x be if t was equal to -2. You'd end up seeing you get -1/2. If t was -1, you get -1/4. If t was 0, x would be equal to 0. If t was 1, x would be equal to 1/4. If t was equal to 2, x would be equal to 1/2. Let me clear that up a little bit. So far we have the x quantities filled in. Now we need to look at the y quantities and do the same thing. Plug in these values. So for this y equation, what I'm plugging in is -2, I get 4. If I plug in -1, I get 1. 0 would get me 0. 1 would get me 1. And 2 would get me 4. So part A wants me to graph this. So I'm just going to sketch the graph of what this would look like. This is a parametric equation, and we are graphing it. Alright, so it's just going to be a sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to color in my circles in purple. And I have a point at -1/2 and up to 4. So that's somewhere like right about there. It's going to be tricky for me to get exact with the stylus, but I also have a point at -1/4 and 1. -1/4 and 1. So these are me just looking at my x, y's. Each of these make up a point. Everything you see circled in purple is making up the points that I'm doing. Point at 0, 0. 1/4, 0.25, and 1. And you can see this working out to be like a parabola. So that one should be more so like that. Alright, so now that we have the general shape, part A really specifies to graph this with the order, the direction that it goes in. And as we go left to right, as our numbers increased, we went this direction. So we're going to indicate that with some arrows as we go along our line. So that would be the answer for part A for this problem. Now, it wasn't that difficult. I don't want to hear a bunch of whining. Look back at it. All we did was select different values of t, evaluate x and y, and that made up our point. On the next slide, I'm going to go ahead and do part B, so try to remember what this looks like, and if you need to go back to look at this, feel free. So the directions for part B, for it out of your book, say, eliminate the parameter and write the corresponding rectangular equation whose graph represents the curve. So what we're going to do is essentially just solve one of these for t and plug it into the other one. So if I take a look at x here, the x equation, if I multiply both sides by 4, I would get that t is equal to 4x. And I can take that value and input it here. So just kind of 2 equations, 2 unknowns. And I would get y is equal to 4x, and that's all being squared. I get y is equal to 16x squared. So that would be the rectangular equation that they're looking for. So that's all part B was finding. It's kind of just 2 equations, 2 unknowns. So that's all you'd have to give them. So that's number 9. I realize that some of the ones later on, 11, should be pretty simple. 13, 15 might be a little more complicated. But take a look at these and make sure that you understand them. And also, we will be spending Tuesday in class not just going over these, but we'll do more like this. So make sure you do these 4, though, for homework and during class today. Hope you guys are behaving. See ya.